Hello students, now we are seeing about EER, Enhanced Entity Relationship Model. All the basic concepts of ER modeling are not sufficient to represent requirements of newer, more complex applications. So, the ER model supported with additional concepts is called the Enhanced Entity Relationship Model. Since 1980s, there has been an increase in emergence of new database applications with more demanding requirements. Basic concepts of ER modeling are not sufficient to represent requirements of newer, more complex applications. Therefore, there are three most important and useful additional concepts of the EER model. Those are specialization, generalization, aggregation, composition. Specialization, generalization. So before understanding this specialization and generalization, we have to see the definitions of superclasses, subclasses, and the process of attribute inheritance. Superclass. What is the definition of a superclass? It is an entity that includes one or more distinct grouping of its occurrences. And subclass definition is a distinct subgrouping of occurrences of an entity type. To make you understand better about these definitions, these concepts, this is quite similar to the inheritance concept which you had in object-oriented concepts in C++, where inheritance is getting properties, that is data members and member functions, from one class to another class. From which class the properties are getting, that is parent or super or base class we called. And to which class properties are inherited, that is child or sub or derived class. The child class has all the properties of its parent class and also some additional properties it has if it required. I am just telling this now as example to make you understand easily about specialization, generalization, superclass and subclass, because it is similar to this. Okay, now when coming to the present topic, what is superclass? It is a general entity. For example, if you consider a person entity, a person may be a student, a person may be act as an employee, a person may be an officer. And similarly, if you consider staff entity, a staff may be a manager, staff may be a secretary, and staff may be a sales staff, that is sales personnel. And staff is an entity which has all common attributes required for manager, secretary and sales personnel. And along with the staff attributes, that is common attributes, manager, secretary and salesperson will have additional attributes too. So, in this example, staff entity is superclass and its subclasses are manager, secretary, sales personnel. And remember one more point here, the relationship between a superclass and any one of its subclasses is 1-to-1 and is called superclass-subclass relationship. Here, if you see this table, these staff number, name, position, salary, all attributes appropriate for all staff. For all staff, manager, assistant, sales manager, secretary. For all these staff, these are the 4 common attributes we have. And these are the attributes, these are the 2 attributes appropriate for branch managers exclusively, that is manager start date bonus. And you can see the values for these attributes only for manager we have here. These. Same like these are the attributes appropriate for sales personnel, that is sales staff. Those are sales area, car allowance. Sales area, car allowance. And you can see the values for these attributes we have only for sales staff, sales personnel. Same like these are the attribute appropriate for secretarial staff exclusively, that is typing speed. Typing speed is exclusively for secretary. And you can see the value for these attribute at one place, that is for secretary position only. There are two important reasons for introducing the concepts of superclasses and subclasses into an ER model. The first reason is it avoids describing similar concepts more than once, thereby saving you time and making the ER model more readable. That means, for example, removing common attributes of staff from manager, sales personnel and secretary and having those common attributes only in staff entity at once. By that we can save time and it is more readable. The second reason is that it adds more semantic information to the design. That is, adds more meaningful information to the ER model. Then, attribute inheritance. What is attribute inheritance here? It is an entity occurrence or a member of a subclass which inherits all the attributes of associated superclass and may also have some subclass specific attributes, that is its own additional attributes. In the previous table, we are having this sales personnel staff, for example. Sales personnel subclass has its own attributes like sales area, car allowance, and all the attributes of its superclass staff, namely staff number, name, position, salary. That is, for all subclasses, means for all these three subclasses, manager, sales personnel, secretary, they are having their own attributes along with these four common attributes. This concept is called as attribute inheritance. Then, what is type hierarchy? Type hierarchy means it is an entity and its subclasses and their subclasses and so on is called a type hierarchy. Already we have a superclass and subclasses. Again, if we have more subclasses, in that hierarchy is called as type hierarchy. Next, you are seeing in this screen specialization hierarchy, generalization hierarchy. So before knowing that, we have to see the specialization process, that means about specialization. It is the process of maximizing the difference between members of an entity by identifying their distinguishing characteristics. It means identifying subclasses from superclass. And specialization is a top-down approach. That is, the flow of the specialization process in identifying subclasses from its superclass always top to downwards. When we identify a set of subclasses of an entity type, then we have to identify attributes specific to each subclass if necessary. For example, if we apply this process of specialization on the staff entity, And if we attempt to identify differences between members of this entity, as we know, staff with job roles of manager, sales personnel, and secretary have distinctive attributes, that is, their own attributes. Therefore, we can say manager, sales personnel, secretary as subclasses of a specialized staff superclass. And the same you can observe in this figure. Staff is a superclass. Staff is superclass with manager, sales personnel, secretary as its subclasses. This is called as, from top to bottom, is called as a specialization. Then coming to the generalization process. Generalization means the process of minimizing the differences between entities by identifying their common characteristics, that is generalized superclass. And the flow of this generalization process in identifying its common entity is always bottom to top, that is bottom up approach. In simple terms, we can say that it is the process of identifying superclass from subclasses and is just reverse to the specialization process. If you see the same figure again, and if we attempt to identify the similarities between manager, sales personnel and secretary, and as we know, these entities share attributes common to all staff, and therefore we identify manager, sales personnel and secretary as subclasses of a generalized staff superclass. And also you can see the rectangle notation represented for staff superclass and for the subclasses rectangle, because those are being entities and attributes for these entities are listed in the lower section of the rectangle. In the lower section of the rectangle are the attributes. Here the subclasses are attached by lines to a triangle that points towards the superclass. So this triangle indicates specialization generalization process. We can also show relationships that are only applicable to specific subclasses. For example, the manager subclass is related to the branch entity. Manager subclass is related to the branch entity through the manager's relationship, whereas the staff superclass is related to the branch through the has relationship. This is called generalization process. And here you can observe that with another example. So generalization is a bottom up approach always, and specialization is top down approach. So bank account is a superclass here. Savings and credit card account are subclasses.